Senator Coons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the witnesses for your testimony. Specialist Sarah Beckstrom should be alive today, and Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf should not be fighting horrific injuries, and they and their families are in my prayers. One man, Mr. Lankenwall, did a horrible, tragic thing. That does not mean all of those of his same background deserve to be punished. Instead, we should, as several of my colleagues have suggested, have a real conversation about how we ensure this doesn't happen again. And that has to include mental health resources, access to local law enforcement. Could you three each just briefly answer, is there any specific flag or piece of information that your clear DOD missed about Mr. Lankenwall as he was being reviewed for admission to this country that can be attributed to the broader issues or potential deficiencies in vetting discussed in your various reports?
We didn't look at the specific individual, and I don't want to comment on him now because of the open investigation.
Understood. Mr. Baker?
Really the same.
Mr. Rourke?
So DOD has a lot of information and data that we compiled over 20 years in Afghanistan. And I think the question for us to look at was how best can we get that information into the hands of decision makers? And so that's why we focused in our two reports on the macro issues and kind of how we can deal with that risk and identify improvements that could be made.
So I'd appreciate more follow-up from you on that, but here's what I just heard from the three of you. We're not here at a hearing where you looked at this tragic case and this individual and then looked back at the raft of previous reports and your work to say this is the failure in vetting or this is the process issue that led to this individual being in the United States. I think it's apparent we need to have a serious conversation about Mr. Lankenwall's case, his mental health struggles, how we could identify and ensure that a similar threat is stopped before a tragedy strikes. But I do disagree with the way this hearing was framed, both in its title and I think its overall objective to justify the demonization of the Afghan people, and in particular those who served alongside our troops and came here through the post-conflict relocation. Deputy Inspector General Adelman, I've been really concerned with the impact of the Trump administration's cuts to public safety and counterterrorism grant programs to states. I've been concerned with its reassignment of thousands of law enforcement personnel to support mass deportations of individuals without criminal records. Both of these, in my view, have harmed public safety and taken resources away from the very local law enforcement efforts that might have prevented this specific attack. Are you conducting any inquiries into the effects that these cuts and reassignments have had on DHS's ability to address current or future threats to the homeland?
Normally in our work, we would wait till the grants are paid out before we would take a look at them. I understand this situation creates a different issue, so it's something that we can take under consideration.
I mean, there were additional mental health grants cut today. There were law enforcement related grants cut last year. My hope is that you will do some of that work and then come back to the chairs of these subcommittees to discuss it. A last question for you, if I might, Mr. Edelman. Your 2022 report, OIG 2264, its first recommendation required providing evidence of full screening and vetting of all Afghan evacuees and ensuring that recurrent vetting processes were established. Your testimony says you closed that recommendation. Can you say more about how or why that recommendation was closed?
Yes, CBP provided us with data to illustrate that the recurrent vetting process was created and followed. They also showed that they had obtained additional information potentially through when someone's applying for immigration benefits. We are doing follow-up work to look at the current recurrent vetting process and if things have improved in terms of information sharing.
I look forward to hearing about your new study about the recurrent vetting process, and I welcome that analysis. But let me just make sure I heard you right. That first recommendation required evidence of full screening and vetting and ensuring that recurrent vetting processes were established, and you closed that recommendation.
That's correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Coons, I will repudiate